All right, guys, really quick little video to review what we did this last week in algebra. This is just for your reference because you probably don't have your notes with you. So remember we had 3 rules for the grade 6, 7s and 2 kind of subset rules. So first rule, you are going to simplify and collect like terms. Okay, remember a term. A term is something that has a sign, so it's positive or negative, and it may have positive 2x, could be minus 3y. These are all terms. So a term has a sign, it has a number, and it may have a variable. So if we're going to collect like terms have the same plus 4, 2y, negative positive 3, that should be an x, negative 2x, positive 3y. Like terms have to have the exact same variable. Remember, if there is no variable, then those are like terms as well, because they don't have a letter. Pretty straightforward. So any number that does not have a variable in algebra is called a constant. If it does have a variable, the number in front of that variable is called a coefficient. Coefficient. Those become important later. So in this one, if we were to combine plus 3 and plus 4, we would get plus 7. If we're collecting plus 2x and minus 2x, we would have no x's. Don't even need it. I did the same thing there. Let's make this one positive 3y. So positive 8y. So if I have 8 and minus 3, I'm adding those two together. So if I have positive 8 and minus 3, positive 8 is the bigger team. They're bigger by 5. This would be 5y, positive 5y. Good? Good. I'm glad. Now, next rule. Get rid of constant using positive or negative. Rule number 3, get rid of coefficient using divide or multiply. Now A, this is the biggest thing you got to remember. Use the opposite operation. So if I have a positive 3, the opposite operation to that is negative 3. If I have 2x, that's attached by a multiplication. The opposite operation to that is going to be a divide by 2. Now the last one is B. What I do to one side, I finish it. I know you know the answer. You know this. You got it. Do to the other. Do to other. Okay? So, sample problem. Now, the ones you're going to do are not going to be this complicated, so I'm going to write down a fairly complicated one first. Negative 3x plus 4 minus 2 plus 6x equals 10. Ooh, that's scary. There's so many numbers. Not at all. Rule number 1, simplify and collect like terms. You guys don't really have to simplify anything in here. What we're going to do, though, is collect like terms. Here's Mr. Paul's tip for watching the video. When you have like terms, underline the coefficients. Underline the ones with variables. Okay? This works. Trust me. Next thing, you're going to circle the constants. Now, do you notice how I've circled the sign? Do not forget to circle the sign. You're going to get all messed up and you're going to come to school and be very angry with me because you don't know what a constant or a coefficient is. So, first one, I have positive 6x and minus 3. They both have the x, so they're like terms. Well, if I stack up 6 Lego blocks, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then I take 3 of them away, 1, 2, 3, I'm left with positive 6x. Positive, did I just say 6? It's totally wrong. Can't even read my own writing. That's positive 3x. Now if I have 4 Lego bricks, positive 4, and I take 2 away, I'm left with positive 2 equals 10. Now remember, the other thing we talked about is this form. What we're trying to get to always is when we have ax plus b equals c. A, B, and C are just any number, so that's called a form. So do you see how here I have positive 3x plus 2 equals 10? I am at that form. I'm good. Okay, next thing we're going to do is we move on to rule number 2. This is really weird because I'm actually on the opposite side. Crazy. So I'm going to rewrite my expression here. Positive 3x plus 2 equals 10. I just rewrite that because I not messed up. I gave you a little bonus there. So rule number 2 states that I need to get rid of the constant using positive or negative opposite operation. So is this the constant? Why? Because it's attached to the x. You're right. Good job. That's actually a coefficient. So here's my constant. I am going to use the opposite operation. What I do to one side, I do to the other. Now, please, 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 once we have this, I want you to draw a line. Because this tells us we're actually doing an operation. Remember, just like when you were a kid, 3 plus 4 equals. This gives me the equals. So we solve. 8 minus 2 is 10 minus 2 is 8. I'm going to put my equal sign back in. Now 2 minus 2, well, that's going to be 0. This is what we talked about in class. This is the little confusing bit. If you put a 0 down there, that'll be fine. But really, if I have plus 2 and minus 2, they cancel each other out. If you want to put a big X over them, go ahead. Now the last thing I have is this positive 3x. So we're going to move that down. Positive 3x. And notice how I kind of moved it over a bit? It's going to make your life a lot easier. So this here was rule number 1. This one was rule number 2. This one here is going to be rule number 3. Rule number 3, we get rid of the coefficient, the number that's attached to the x. Remember, get that gazelle on its own. The x is the gazelle. So these are always attached by a multiplication. A 3 and a number, or a letter, are attached by a multiplication. So to get rid of a multiply by positive 3, I'm going to divide by positive 3. What I do to one side, I do to the other. So here, 3 divided by 3, those cancel out to give me 1. I get x equals 8 over positive 3. You could pop that into your calculator, or for those of you getting really good at fractions, how do we turn that into a mixed number? Well, I can get 2 3's out of there would be 6. So this is actually going to equal 2 and 6 2/3. Or on a calculator, 2.66 repeater. Okay, let's do an easy one. This is the structure I'm looking for. I want to see rule number 2, then rule number 3. Last one. Super pared down. 2x plus 4 equals 10. Is there a rule number 1? Nope, we're already in ax plus b equals c. I can move right on to step number 2. Rule number 2. I have to get rid of my constant. It's an add, so I subtract. Minus 4 both sides. Draw my line. What am I left with? 10 minus 4. 10 minus 4 is 6. These cross out. I bring my 2x down. Rule number 3. Get rid of my coefficient using division in this time. I divide by 2, divide by 2. 2 divided by 2 gives me 1. 6 divided by 2 gives me 3. Circle the answer. Good? Should be very clean. Very clean. Last thing, I know, I changed. What happens if we have x divided by 4 minus 2 equals 20? Well, now this gives us a little bit of a conflict because now we've got a few different things in here. This is a negative. What's the opposite of a negative? Well, rule number 2. Remember, use plus or minus. If we have a minus 2, we have to add 2 to both sides. Draw the line. Okay, remember, equal signs stay in a line. I get 22, minus 2 and plus 2. That cancels out. I get x divided by 4 equals 22. Did you notice how I said that? I didn't say x fourths. I said x divided by 2. Remember, that sign is also a sign of a fraction. It means division. So here, if this is a divide by 2, how do I get rid of a divide by 2? The opposite operation of divide is multiply. So we do it like this. We put it in brackets. 4 at the top. If I'm multiplying that one by 4, I have to multiply this one by 4. 4 divided by 4 is 1. I get x equals 22 times 4. Well, 22 times 4 is going to be 88. Circle the answer. Hope that helps. Go for it, guys. Be brave, take some risks, see how it goes. See you this week.